we've got a goodie tonight. Bit of an oldie, Dwayne, from our beautiful Tokelauans community, who's also in the IT industry. Yeah, I was just going to go straight into it and introduce you, Toto'a.
Hi, Tracy. Maloney,
Hello.
and Malo to our Tokelauans community.
Yeah, awesome. So you've been in the industry for quite some time. So what I'll do is we'll start from the beginning, obviously. So let's look at your early influences. Um, what first sparked your interest in IT? Did you have any role models or mentors, or what exactly inspired you to pursue IT?
I think growing up, I was into sci-fi movies and like Star Wars and also Star Trek, those TV. Yeah, so I was really into that. And there was
Yeah,
another series called Whiz Kids. So these kids are building computer
yeah.
that could talk, and I was so fascinated by that. But I think my first intro into computers was at USB Alafua when I was doing a course. My
Oh.
diploma in agriculture in Alafua. And one of my classmates is from the Cook Islands. So yeah, I went to his room, we were supposed to go out, and he said, oh, hold on, I'll send an email to my family. And he was typing away. And I was just watching him, and then he sent it off. And then I asked him, So when does it get to the cooks? When does it get to Cook Islands? And he said to me, "Oh, just like that." It
Mm.
This was before internet. It was like back in 92, 93. Internet came out in 94, so email was still early, but it was still around
Yeah,
then. But it just shocked me that email just 'cause, I'm used to airmail, where it takes days or even weeks to get to. And yeah, and he had his system there, and he
yeah.
had it on the side. It was open, and then he said to me, "Oh, look, this is the my computer." And then I kind of like pointed at all the parts in the computer. Back then, I had no idea what he was saying to me. It wasn't until I knew more about computers then kind of say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I think I know what he was saying then." And that's how I, kind of like was introduced to computers. Yeah, I think getting into doing a course was more because we came to New Zealand back in 96, 97. I worked at Pack and Sales for about a year and a
Mm.
half, and one of my co-workers was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go and do a course," and I asked him, "What sort of course are you doing?" And he said,
Great
"Oh,
question.
I'm doing a computers course."
Mm.
And I went, "Oh, yep, I'd love to do that. I think I might join you." And I did. So we
Wow.
quit our jobs and signed up at Christchurch Polytech doing a computer course. So that's how I got into IT.
Wow. Awesome. Um, can you go into more depth or can you describe your educational journey in IT? And what were some of the challenges that you faced during that time? But also, what were some key milestones or any pivotal moments? Yeah, during your studies.
Yeah, my studies, my journey wasn't that great. It was, I'm not an academic. I grew up being an average student in class. I
Hmm.
mean, I was like in the middle of the class in
Yeah,
most things.
fine.
But there were subjects that I, was interested in. I love science. That's one thing. My first year was at Christchurch Polytech, and everything was just so new to me. I mean, I enjoyed the programming side of it. It was
Yeah.
quite new to me. It was
Mm.
quite challenging, but it was probably one of the best I'll say year I had in IT. I mean, when it comes to
Mm.
learning, because at that
Yeah.
time they was a guy from Christchurch. He developed this programming language. It came with the framework, and it's called Jade. I think. back in the days, you would have
Wow.
heard of Jade
Yes.
Stadium, so it was named after that program, that software. And
Okay. Yeah.
at that time at Polytech, they kind of like introduced that language. So I kind of like learned my first year. This what I learned, the Jade programming language. Not long after that, we moved to Porirua, Camp to Porirua,
Mm.
and we stayed with my grandparents. And like my studies kind of like had to wait a bit. So
Mm.
we had, two kids by then. And
Mm. Yeah.
so I had to, find work, support the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
And after a while, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind going back to finish my studies. So I went back to Vic. I started off at Vic. It it didn't go so well. It was like, traveling and that,
Mm.
finances, and it
Yeah.
was quite,
Yeah. It's
and
quite long, Yeah. Bit of a
yeah.
mission to get there. Yeah.
But
Mm.
again, there were some subjects um, that I did at Vic that really helped me with my career. When it came to
Oh, you got.
programming, so I was pretty,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
pretty fortunate to have done that.
Yeah.
And then after a while, um, I decided to transfer my course to Fitzgerald.
Mm.
And then yeah, and
Mm.
Fitzgerald was closer as well. And
Yeah.
after doing my course there for about a couple of years, I saw an ad at Poly advertising a
Mm.
job for web admin. So
Yeah.
yeah, I applied for that and managed to get the job before I even finished my job. So I left the course and then took on the job. So that was my first IT job at
Yeah.
Mitsubishi Motors. I still didn't haven't finished my course. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until years later that I just used my experience to do a postgrad certificate and just, but then doing it was a lot easier. I mean, you done all the
Mm.
IT work, you kind of like,
Mm.
know most of what they're talking about.
That's cool. So let's go into when you started to transition into the workforce. Could you describe your experience transitioning from studying to entering the workforce? Tell us, how did you land your first job in IT? I know that you did kind of touch on it a bit, but if you can expand on that, what was your first role and what exactly were your responsibilities that were involved as well?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I did land my first job at Mitsubishi Motors as a web admin. There was an ad um, at Poly um, for a web administrator, and
Yeah.
I applied to that. And it was like towards the end of November. It was, towards the end of the year, and I got a call saying, "Oh, come in for a interview." And at at that time, I didn't know anything about Top Park. I didn't know anything about Mitsubishi, and I
Mm.
was thinking Mitsubishi as in the dealership. So I went to Toto'a Mitsubishi, and as I was driving, my partner rang me and asked me, "How's your interview?" And I said, "Oh, I'm heading there." And she asked me, "Where are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm heading to Tower." And she went, I think it's not that Mitsubishi, it's the head office." And I asked, "Oh, where's the head office?" And then yeah, and I eventually found it. I
Oh,
was pretty lucky to find it on time just before the interview.
thank
And
God
yeah,
she was on point.
yeah, lucky I got a call. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't until the next year, I think it was Feb, yeah, it was Feb because it was my birthday, it's about 1st of Feb, that I got the call from Mitsubishi. But it's been a while since the interview, and I was thinking because I
Mm.
took my car down for repair at
Mm.
Mitsubishi Tower,
Yeah.
and I was thinking it was them calling about my vehicle, my car, and they said to me, "Oh, it's Mitsubishi Motors," and I went, "Oh yeah, you got my car sorted," and then he kind of like went, "Car?" And I went, and he went, the job that you applied for, and I went, job. It's been a while, and he said, what job? And he kind of like I could hear there was a pause. I'm not sure if he was, you know, saying something. But anyway, he said to me, you got the job, the web admin, the job that you applied for. And yeah, so I started, I think it was a couple of weeks after the phone call.
Mm.
And yeah, I was a bit nervous at first. I was, thinking, oh, am I ready for the role? You know, I've been studying all this and that, but can I do it? It's going to be, the
Yeah.
real thing.
Mm.
And I think it's like being in year 11, moving on to year 12. And then
Mm.
when you get there, you think, oh, I wonder if the subject's going to be harder this year, that kind of
Oh,
feeling. And yeah, but the good thing about it, it was they kind of like gave me easy stuff. So I just had to look after our smaller website. So the website's like used by our marketing team for advertisement and all that
mm.
and news. So that's what I was doing. I was just updating. It was just basic HTML. So they kind of like, make things a lot easier, you know. That was my first role.
That's awesome. Mitsubishi is a famous place amongst our community as
I heard,
well.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, I remember we used to always pick up my mum when she was there, working there in the 90s, and there's all these other tokes that worked there as well. So classic though that you went to the yard in Tawa. But yeah, that's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
well, when I was at Mitsubishi, I did see
mm,
a book. There was a hard copy, big book called University up at the on top of the
yeah.
hills. So I was thinking of Vic, but going through the book, there was the old photos of Mitsubishi when they had the car plant.
Yeah.
And I look at all the workers of it. Oh wow, these are all my uncles and aunties working here. I wish I had that book. Oh
It's
yeah,
classic. All the
yeah,
photos. So if we can go, further now into your career pathway, if you can kind of talk about your journey, can you describe the different types of roles and responsibilities that you undertook to where you are right now?
yep, sure. So I was a web admin when I first started. But we did have a system called vols and pods. So vols and pods are like our main systems that our head office use, as well as the dealers. So that's where everyone goes in to place an order for vehicles. Then the whole process starts. So after about a year at Mitzi, they kind of like
Hmm.
said to me, "Oh, do you want to have a go at managing the systems that we had?" So
Mm,
at that time was just there was two of us. So at, my manager used to help out our senior developer,
mm,
and but my manager was more of a manager than a developer. So I kind of like I say, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll have a go."
yeah,
And they started giving me all these jobs, just the little ones to start off with.
yeah,
And yeah, and I started to really go with it. I was
yeah,
so excited. It's
yeah.
something I really wanted to do. And
Mm,
because my first day at Mitsubishi, we had kind of like a introduction to like my manager introduced me to all the systems that we had. And
mm,
those systems, the ones that I mentioned, the VOS and PAR system, like there were like 3 million lines of codes and
mm.
probably 3,000 classes and all that. So it was quite a massive system. And he was telling me all this, and I was thinking, oh wow, that's a lot. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he was trying to scare me or
Overwhelm
but
you.
overwhelm me,
Oh,
yeah. And yeah, it was good. So I was a programmer at that stage, and then a year after, I became an analyst programmer
right.
and helping
Wow.
out, our senior developer. We looked at the the vaults and the pass system, and we also have a system for our call center. So those are
Mm.
the three systems that we
Mm.
had,
Yeah.
as well as our green tree. So green tree is our accounting system. So we kind of like get all the feeds out and then put it into a folder, and then we got a green tree that that runs scripts to pick up all the orders that we've done and does all the
Mm.
calculations.
Far out. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff that you had to undertake. So, what motivated you to become a web developer, and how has your passion evolved over the years?
Um, I wasn't thinking of becoming a web developer. I was just thinking of becoming a programmer. Because when I was taking the courses at during my studies, I learned Java and a few other languages, and I was hoping to use those what I learned, especially Java.
Mm.
But yeah, but I kind of like went towards like web development because that's a job that I took leads to
Mm.
that. So you during my time at Mitsubishi, we kind of like did everything. There was no uh s- you weren't assigned to one thing. You can do whatever you want. You can you know, develop in the web or involves or
Mm.
and when I was there as well, we used to I should help out with my our one of our co-workers that looks after all the system servers and desktops and all that. So I kind
Yeah.
of like did some of that as well. So it was like all kind of all different roles that
Yeah.
we kind of took. There was a good thing about working at Mitzi as well. It was having to do all sort of
Yeah.
stuff, IT stuff,
So, what were some significant challenges that you faced early in your career, and how did you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge um, when I first started was, like I said, that the system was so big, it was massive, because
Yeah.
it also included the car plant as well. You had a car plant, so the system looks at beginning from the ordering of all the different parts to the
Parts.
construction,
Yeah.
right up to the end, and then selling to the dealers, and then you got your post sales as well, and you got
Yeah.
your accounting system to be in there as well. So all that,
Um,
so that's how massive the system was. But we kind of like, and the thing about the system was it was kind of like built on a language called Link, and Link is the old language. So what they did
yeah.
was convert the system from Link to Jade. Um, the conversion was good, but there was still a lot of leftover code in Link. So they it wasn't during my time, but they went in there and kind of like commented out, some of the stuff that wasn't needed.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like so we had the system. The system was like some of the parts were new because we built it from scratch using Jade,
Mm.
and some of
Yeah.
the parts were quite old from that
Mm.
conversion from Link.
Oh
And
gosh. Yeah.
yeah, so it was when I started, it was, I had to really try to sit down and really try and figure out what I was looking at.
Oh god.
All the
Mm.
codes that you learn at uni kind of help, but the system was
Mm.
just, so
So big.
so that was my biggest challenge, I'll say.
Mm.
I think you just have to, the best way to do it is just try and get the whole bigger picture of what the system does. And
Hmm.
from there, you kind of like, know what's happening, if you
Yeah.
see a bigger picture instead of just having a small view of the system.
I like the advice that you have. Like, look at things holistically. You know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Big picture. To piece things together, so you know how to tackle the code, the conversion, what you need to do. So let's talk about some success stories. Can you share a particular success story from your career that you're particularly proud of?
So the team leader of the call center asked me, well, my manager had a
Mm.
meeting with my manager first, and then
Yeah.
manager called me over, and then I had a meeting with her, and she went through what she was doing. And
Mm.
so we have campaigns that they set up on the call center system. So after each campaign, they extract those campaigns into CSV files,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and each kind of like each person, each user, or each caller, that
Yeah.
gets a separate CSV file. And
Mm.
then what she does is collect all those CSV files and they put it into an Excel spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and then try and sort all the data out. So it's all the calls and the questions and the answers that the callers,
Yeah.
and from there she uses the spreadsheet to try and summarize all the calls, the number of success calls and all that. And then
Oh, that's massive.
she has a graph. So yeah, so it's quite massive. And what happened
Mm.
was it took her like a whole day. So she collects all the calls for that whole week for that campaign, and then she takes her a whole day just to go through that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so she asked me if there was a better way of doing it. If there was
Oh, yeah.
so the call center system. I mean, I never touched that before. It was like, but then I had to go into it now and try and figure out, oh, where are all the calls located? Where are all
Yeah.
and so the way Jade works, it uses uh, object-oriented programming. I mean, most languages are that, but the
Mm.
database is object-oriented as well. So each code is saved into an object, and then when you go into that object, it's got all these attributes that, uh,
Yeah.
and then so you kind of like have to go through and find the answer, and the question is like, the question is here, the answer is there, but
Mm.
the answer is saved as a string. It's like a really big
Oh,
string. So
yeah.
you got,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so you
Yeah.
kind of like had to find a way of getting all that string because each code is
Mm.
different. A
Yeah.
code can just end, person answers ends, and there'll be and that string will have nothing but it'll still have the same length. So
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
so you have to
Yeah.
find a way of getting all that data from
Mm.
those
Mm.
stuff and making use of it.
Yeah.
And so I had to go in there and add some more attributes to those classes just to save them. And then because the call center system and our vault system didn't really connect, so I had
Mm.
to build some classes on that side as well just to capture, you know, so it kind of like
Wow.
extract data and then goes in the
Mm.
vault system. With the vault system runs overnight and does all the processing. And
Yes, yes, yes.
then from there you have to build the the spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet
Yeah.
you have to build it via XML, and then to get all those data, all those because she uses formulas as well. To get the formulas and all the graphs displaying, you need macros for that. So you have to
Yes.
write a script to
Yeah.
generate those macros, and
Macros, yeah.
then yeah, and then the files get saved, the macros get saved,
Yeah.
and then you have to send an email to the team leader of the call centers. So it's
Oh,
quite
wow.
a challenging, but it's quite
Amazing.
good learning experience as well. So yeah, when I left
Yeah.
Mitsubishi, one of my son's mate, he
Yeah.
worked at the call center at Mitsubishi,
Oh,
and
yes, yes, yes.
he was saying that, oh yeah, we still get that email, that with
Mm.
that the one that you set up, still
They
there,
still
still
get it
doing his job, yeah,
to this day.
yeah.
That's a cool one. I love that one because you've reduced hours, you've reduced the you know what I mean, like positive impact for them. Yeah.
So before it used to take a whole day just to do that, now it
Yeah.
just takes minutes. I mean, open up the spreadsheet. I mean, gets emailed to you. Just open it up
Yeah.
and run the the macros and everything will be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's actually, I love it when people they know how to do macros. I don't know how to do that. I've seen people do it, build it.
I was, you know, I didn't know at first how to do it,
You're
so I had
kidding
to
me.
learn. So there was whole part of the learning process as well.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
gosh.
so the easiest thing for me to do was record the macro. So I
Yeah,
try and find out, oh, what does, what the person does, and then,
yeah,
and what sort of formula is she using, and then
yeah,
from
yeah,
there, yeah, I just create a script to generate their formula. But there was some that I need to create myself.
yeah,
So I just use the record macros part of the spreadsheet, and I just do it manually and then record it, and I go into the code, and then from the code I play around with it, and then come up with the script, the macro.
Oh my gosh, amazing. That's awesome. So that oh, actually, the next interesting enough, the next thing is we're going to be talking about your skills, the skills and the tools. So throughout your career, which programming languages and tools have you found the most valuable? And what programming languages would you recommend others who want to start pursuing a career in web development or programming?
I think each year, like a uni or polytech, they will have their own language to introduce all the new students, to introduce them to programming. So when I first started, it was Jade. That's what I was introduced to. And when I came down to Vic, it was Java. So I kind of like, I enjoy those programming languages. I
Yeah,
think that the ones out now, I heard is like Python. Python's quite popular.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's the top language to learn AI apparently. So I think
yeah,
that's why.
yeah,
But
yeah.
mm,
Or what,
mm,
um, Python was developed back in the 90s, so quite a,
mm.
it's been around,
Older.
but coming back. And yeah, so I think that if you want to be a web developer, I think that one of the best languages, well, they wouldn't say language, but one of the best
Mhm.
skills you have is learning HTML and CSS and JavaScript. JavaScript maybe later down the line, but
Yeah.
learning HTML
Mm,
and CSS, those are the first two languages that you need to learn if you want to be into web development. And depending on
awesome.
which, because you got your front end developers and you got back end
Mm,
developers, and they
yeah.
have their own languages as well. So yeah, depending on what you're doing. One of the best skills is have a really good imagination. Don't
Mm,
you gotta think outside the square. That
yeah.
saying. I mean, have a different way of thinking. I guess. I mean, if you want to solve something, problem solving, you gotta have that. Be creative, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It gives you that opportunity to be creative, eh? If, 'cause I don't know how to best explain this. Front end and back end
Front
of
end,
a
how the
yeah,
web page is
the
looking and
page and
all
stuff.
the things that you're interacting with.
Mm,
And
hmm.
back end is all, just your the web page interacting with the server, getting all the data.
Yeah,
So
that's
that,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you, because I've always just had like hard time trying to explain it to people sometimes. I was like, front end is the front and back. But yeah, that's good. So if we talk about the industry, and I guess the evolution of it, right? Because IT itself is just the most fast-paced industries in the world, probably the fastest actually. But how have you seen, since since your journey, you've been in the industry for a while, but how have you seen the industry change over the course of your career?
Um, it's really changed.
Yeah.
technology wise. Yeah, and even I mean even the websites. If you go
Oh,
back to there's a website called Archives. So it's got like archives of all the websites for the year, and you'll see the
yeah.
difference between the early websites to the ones now really different. Yeah, but
Different. Mhm.
yeah, a lot better. I'll say the
Yeah.
ones back then was a lot basic. Yeah. And I think the other I say Google. Google is another one. It's
Yeah.
that's one big, and the other one is social media. That's one of the
Yeah.
biggest things
Yeah.
that's come out now. With
Yeah.
people spending a lot of time on social media and having the social
Yeah.
media companies as well make money out of the people as well, of their
Yeah.
data collection and that. And well,
Right.
I think and then you got AI. That's pretty massive. You know, it's amazing what can be done with AI and that. So it
Yeah.
it with Google, I can vouch for Google. I mean, it helped me um, a lot during my career. 'Cause, I
Mm.
was given a task to refresh our Fuser website, and then but that was like when I first started at work. So with Google, I use Google a lot, YouTube,
Oh yeah.
just getting all the how to do this, how to do that, and
Mm.
it really helped me with with building the website. And that was way before Stack Overflow. I wish I had AI back then, but
I know.
I did cover AI a little bit when I did my postgrad. So yeah,
Mm.
well, it was kind of basic stuff. It was like
Yeah.
so what we did, we had to build an app where you um, image recognition. So we used
Oh.
you know,
Oh.
so we used
Awesome.
some images, and then we used Google's TensorFlow to kind of like
Oh yeah.
train that model we had.
The bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty
Oh.
interesting. We used a lot of Python in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
There you go.
which it's something I wouldn't mind looking into that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this
Oh.
is all this AI stuff. This is all you guys. I mean, I'm
I know.
I'm I'm old school now. I'm moving on. I'm leaving it to you
No.
guys, all the young people.
No. No. We need a teacher. So we need that we need some guidance. So that's
Mm.
awesome. I'm glad that you've had a bit of exposure on it. So what is your overall philosophy when it comes to building websites? Um, what are some key principles that you consider for user interface design?
Yeah, it's mostly everything. It's mostly the it's the user. User that's the
Mm,
main focus of web design, and
yeah,
and it also depends on what your website is about. I mean, for
yeah,
us, it's a lot of information that, say, a lot of important information that people need to know. So we gotta make it really clear, make it
clear,
easy
yeah,
to navigate. Um,
yeah,
the language has to be really simple, easy to understand. Just the placement of all the buttons and that, all the links.
mm,
The colors have to, I mean, you got your web accessibility there you have to think about as well.
yeah,
it's not just us there to think about. You know, consider people with disabilities as well, people with poor vision and that, or
yeah,
colorblind. And
mm,
those things you have to because all the government websites and all the agencies that deal with those sort of
yeah.
things, they have to comply with
Ah,
with all
makes
the
sense.
standards, web standards. So that's part of it.
Mm, that makes total sense. Um, but you get some really creative websites as well. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, hopefully with AI, AI
yeah,
might be able to solve a lot of this. You got like Siri, you got Alexa that you can communicate, you can talk to, and they'll provide you with the information. So I don't know, maybe
Mm,
all the future websites might be you'll be able to interact. You just
yeah,
ask them,
the
you know,
chatbots.
yeah,
Yeah.
chatbox. Oh,
Chatbot. Mm.
this is what I want to do. Have you got this? How can I get it? And then,
Mm.
you know,
Oh
they'll
yeah.
just provide you information instead of you having to look for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's already some that's like that already, eh?
Mm, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's totally the way that things are going to go now. So, in terms of problem solving, your approach to problem solving, um, you've given us a bit of a glimpse to it, which is massive. But I guess what are some solid solutions to technical issues and content issues within the web space and the different platforms that you have experience in? How do you navigate problem solving?
With techno issues, you just have to start with the basics, I guess. What is
Mm,
that
yeah,
person, what is your issue? What are you having trouble with, they might
yeah,
come back and say, oh, I'm getting I can't the page is not loading. And then you start, why is it not loading? Maybe you're
mm,
not connected to the internet or things like that. So you kind of like, start with the basics and
mm,
then cover all the basics. And when nothing happens, then that's when you dive deeper to
yeah,
you know with content issues. I think the thing about content issues is mostly the users that tells you there was something wrong with
yeah.
what's on the website.
Feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, with content issues, what we do a lot is just try and have someone review
Yeah.
your work. I mean, if
Mm,
I mean, what you see is, you may think it's all there, but having a
mm,
different set of eyes will actually
yeah.
pick up any issues that you have. Different platforms,
Mm,
they have all their own issues and that. But
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, but most common with platforms that it's just checking whether the system is up to date or plugins
Mm,
up to date, modules and that.
yeah.
And yeah, so as long as you got a test environment and then have all your testing done there, make sure that it whatever issues is solved before it gets published. And you got
Mm,
to make sure as well that your testing environment and your production environment are the same. They're
yeah.
running the same
Yeah.
services.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that in case you maybe working on your test environment, but put it on your production, it doesn't work.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
you gotta make sure you have that is backed up as well. So if
Mm,
something goes wrong, you got backup there. You can you know reboot everything from
yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
documentation as well. You gotta have all your
Yeah.
documentation that you know uh
Definitely.
list all
Definitely.
yeah any issues that you come across or
Mm,
yeah I yeah those sort of things, how to
yeah.
manuals and all that.
Mm.
But I mean, a lot of my documentation is comments on the code. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, if someone, well, this part of, this part of coding as well. You gotta, you gotta have, comments on your code, explaining what you're trying to do. So when
Yeah.
another programmer comes in, oh yeah, this is what this person is trying to do, and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love looking at programmers' documentation. It is actually quite clear. It's actually quite clear to follow.
Mm.
Um, but just sometimes there's a lack of documentation. That's when it gets a bit, yeah, that's not good. And I think asking the right questions, like you said, finding out what the problem is, you need to ask.
Mm.
But I mean, that's just common sense. But ask everything that you can, I guess. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. With everything, you need to get all the
Mm,
questions right and have all the answers before you start and
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Cool. So let's get into some career growth and mentorship. Um, as an experienced developer, how do you stay updated with the latest industry trends, and adapt your skill set?
It's a lot of courses out there. You got YouTube. I love YouTube. I love Google.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, whenever I get the chance, something comes up, and I'll just type it away, and just that's how I kind of learn from it. And if
Yeah.
you can teach yourself, using YouTube or other there's Coursera, there's Udemy, there's Khan Academy, all those online learning um,
Mm,
websites you can use.
yeah.
That's one way of keeping up to date. Well, do a course if you want to. Yeah.
But YouTube was my first resource. I'm a visual person, so I find it's actually quite a lot of
Yeah,
info on
same
there.
here. When I first
Mm.
started, learning programming, when I first started all the algorithms, I kind of like I
Yeah.
I used Java
Yeah.
app. It's like I guess it's like a little Java videos of how the algorithm works. So when it goes
Yeah.
line by line, it tells you where it's going, and then you kind of
Oh,
watch that and learn more about. So that's kind of that's what I use as well.
so YouTube's massive.
Mm,
Everyone, YouTube. Go to YouTube.
mm.
Cool. So if we look into your balancing your work and life, um, how do you maintain a healthy work life balance in a demanding field like yours, web development? Do you have any tips for managing stress and staying motivated?
I wish I have uh, a good answer for you, like, but in reality, I do have a mountain bike in the garage, and it's been sitting in there for
Oh,
like a couple of years. It's
oh,
been, yeah, so yeah, I don't really have a work and life balance. But
yeah,
yeah, I do believe it's important. I love watching YouTube videos, learning more. I mean, that's kind of my thing now. I mean,
gosh, yeah.
I love watching videos of quantum mechanics as well.
Oh, wow.
It, it just blows my mind. I never understand anything about. I mean, I don't understand anything about quantum mechanics. I mean, I just watch it and get just how amazing it is and all that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very yeah confusing topic, but
Mm.
exciting to watch. Yeah, I started doing a bit of fishing at the wharf. So
Oh,
we've
yeah.
gone out for like the last 3 weeks. We've been out at the wharf
Oh,
fishing. So yeah, that's one
oh.
thing. Of yeah,
Yeah, that's also, yeah, that's good. There you go. Still better than me. I need to start. Yeah, but that's awesome. It's not like the islands, eh? We can just like go and
yeah, jump in the water, have a swim. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. How do you blend your Tokelauan background with your IT career? Um, how has your commitment for the Tokelau community events um, influenced your approach to collaborative work in tech, or if it has at all?
Uh, I wish I had a good answer for you for that, but it hasn't. I haven't really used my IT background. I'm part of the Tokelauans community group up in
Mm.
Matawala. Um, uh, to be honest, I haven't really, used it. And I
Used
mean,
it.
I built a website at the beginning, like
Hmm.
5 years back for that, but it was
Yeah.
just a basic website. It just depends on how often you use it and how much money you want to spend on it. Yeah. So
I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it's I know at Tokelau, uh, we're more active on Facebook. We're
Yeah.
uh, not website was maybe, but not that much a requirement. But
Yeah.
it's more just the information based on where we are located and just for
Yeah.
funding and
That's it.
stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That makes
but
sense.
yeah, um, but yeah, I love going to the Tokelau language week. daily practice, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
I mean, I think you can look at it in both ways with this question because, with your commitment or, with a commitment with the community stuff, like how do you think that, or the way that how we kind of been grown up as a community, right? Well, that's how we've just been brought up, compared to, say, those outside um, our culture. But do you think that that's kind of transferred into the workplace for you?
I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. I
Mm,
think my yeah, that's right. The way I kind of like approach my work is very, it has a lot of influence from how I was brought up in the
yeah,
Tokelauans community. Like, but when someone asks me, you know, I'll do it.
yeah,
I'll,
yeah,
I'll put away whatever well, it depends on priorities. Well, it depends on how important the
yeah,
work I'm doing. But someone asks
yeah,
me for help, I'm ready to help.
yeah.
Other
That's
people
what I mean.
can easily say, "Oh, sorry, no, I can't help you. I've got,
Mm.
I'm off for lunch or, I gotta finish up at 5."
Yeah.
So it kind of like it. Sometimes it's bad in a way because you get caught up.
Mm.
You know, you're finishing at 5. Someone, emails you at 10 to 5. So it kind of
Yeah.
like end up going home much later than that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like it comes natural to us um to help others um and drop the things that we're doing, but we have to balance it, right?
Right. Yeah.
I had a previous guest actually, like who was it? I think it was Sean. Actually, he was saying the same thing. Like commitment is that kind of is what's been drilled in the way that we've been brought up, without kind of sacrificing your own performance. But yeah, like back to the cultural thing, I think it's a really good advantage that we naturally have, and in IT, like you're just constantly doing collaborative work all the time. I thought it was quite interesting kind of concept, and I just wondered about how if you could like see it in your career as well. So if we look into cultural representation, do you feel there is adequate representation of Pacific Islanders in the IT industry? And what can be done to improve this?
Definitely not. Yeah, that we really need a lot more Pacific Islanders in this
Mm,
yeah, industry, and women as well, girls, especially Pacific
yeah,
Island girls, women.
yeah, we're the
Yeah,
lowest.
yeah,
Yeah.
the lowest. Because at the moment, like the more Pacific Islanders there are, the easier it will be for others to be recruited because we're
Mm,
kind of like we're kind of like the minorities. Like mostly, a lot of people are like Asians or Pakeha,
yeah.
males. And then if you were to send out um a CV, they'll just look at it. You know, Pacific Islander. We don't normally have Pacific Islanders in IT, so maybe we'll just put you aside, and they'll go
Mm,
straight to the people that they're familiar with, I guess. So the more people that we
yeah.
have who will normalize us being in that industry, it will make it easier for anyone in Pacific, any Pacifica person to apply. I'm, I've heard Sean's interview. I'm so glad
Mm,
that like there are
yeah.
programs out there that that pushes
Yeah.
Pacifica
For
into
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So if we look into community impact, um, in what ways do you think IT can help address issues important to Pacifica communities, in particular the Tokelau community?
Um, I think getting the right information out there. I know a lot of people from the islands come here. They don't have a lot of information on, say, signing up to ACC or signing up to a doctor's or, eh,
Oh,
to those sort of services. But
yeah.
and I know a lot of Tokelauans who work in those services. If we can just get those
Mm,
people, the Tokelauans, that information on where to go, it will help them out. Even information on how to budget and and all that.
Yeah.
Look for work, not
Yeah.
just any work, work that can be a career.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, but in terms of advice for others, and I know you will have a lot of advice as an experienced developer and tech guru, what advice would you give to young people, especially from our small Tokelauan community, who may be interested in pursuing a career in IT?
Yeah, good question. Like someone like me, um, I'm not an academic person. I have, learning disabilities and all that. And, see all the young people that you interviewed before, they did really well in, in the
Oh yes.
courses. So that, that's really good to hear. But if you're
Mm.
an average person, if you're in school, you can
Hmm.
still make it. If, I
That's
can
right.
vouch that myself. You think it's difficult, but once you get into it, you'll find it's really enjoyable and really easy to pick up. I know a lot of Tokelauans who are naturally talented, and they're
Mm.
gifted, and they're
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
orators as well. And for someone who can just pick up the guitar and piano and then play it by ear, it's really amazing. I
Yeah.
can't do that, but I
Yeah.
know people who can. I mean,
Mm.
what's different to learning a new programming language is not so different. Yeah,
Yeah. I know. There's so many talented young ones out there that are so creative, eh?
yeah, artists as
And it's
well. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And I love the advice that because you've actually helped others. You've actually helped a lot of others get into the industry just by inspiring them. One for them, I will say, is one of the mana, for instance, who has been on this platform. Um, yeah, who's amazing. He's very inspiring. He said that you were his inspiration into getting into the industry. So thank you. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have mana in where he is right now in
yeah.
IT.
He's really proud of that guy and his younger brother as well.
Yeah, Maka. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they're doing well. And speaking of, I knew Sean. He was a
Mm.
baby. We kind of like babysit
Oh,
for her mom and dad because we
yeah,
didn't, so my partner was a good friends with Sean's mom,
yeah.
and he was a little kid then, so that
Look
we
at them now.
babysit. Yeah, look at him now; they're grown, and he's in
They're growing.
IT.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
amazing, eh?
Yeah,
It's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. And like I can just see Sean going really to
mm,
big places. All of them actually. Yeah, Manna as well. So
yeah.
that's awesome. Mhm.
Jan somewhere as well.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Jan. Yeah, yeah. Got to shout out to Jan.
Mm,
So, oh, okay. Now this is back to you. Back to you. Long-term vision. Where do you see yourself in the future within the IT landscape?
good question. I would have to ask ChatGPT for that and see what answer I get. I also honestly don't know. Yeah. Um,
Oh,
yes, certainly AI is, taking the internet by storm. And, right now I'm just waiting to see where it's going and, you know, where I'll fit in. But I'm really interested
mm.
in that area. But yeah, there's so many IT tools out there, just have to,
Yeah,
I mean,
Copilot.
you don't really, yeah, Copilot is one. I mean, you don't have to, get into development and all that, but
True.
finding out what, some really cool
Mm,
AI tools out there that you can use, for
yeah.
everyday stuff or work, whatever. I mean, so
Mm,
yeah, that's where we kind of like we're in the waiting game, see what people are coming up with and
yeah.
what be useful for us, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so we're up to the last question. Okay. Let's look at legacy and impact. Um, So I've mentioned before you have humbly influenced others in your family to pursue a career in IT already. Um, but what legacy do you hope to leave behind in the tech community and elevating our community?
Question. Yeah, it's probably something I haven't come up with yet, but well, right now I'm really proud of my nephews, who are doing well in their careers, and I hope that they in turn influence others to get into IT, and just like yourself, you're doing a lot of good work as well for Tokelauan communities. Um, yeah, the journey hasn't finished yet. Um, I don't know what sort of legacy I'm going to leave behind, but maybe we'll find out in the future. Um,
Yeah, I think the legacy with you, the thought is that you've actually influenced a lot of people. I was actually quite nervous about this interview. Um, for everyone here, Toto'a was actually the first person that I had on the list to um, bring on the platform. He was on the list because I had been told, go to him, go to him, go to him. He's very experienced, so he was always the number one to interview. But then it just kind of changed when I wanted to kind of talk to the younger ones first. So I'm really quite honoured to have Toto'a on this platform because I know that not very open person, and I'm really grateful that you were able to share because like when I spoke to Mana, you've inspired him. There's others out there as well that have vouched, spoken about you, some really good things about you. But yeah, I'm hoping that people are, if you guys are interested and have any questions, reach out to him. I'm sure he won't mind. And I might even like ask you for some advice. I've actually asked the dog for some advice as well, just to, track how we're going and stuff. Um, yeah, thank you. Do you
Thanks
have
for
anything
having
else
me.
you want to share?
Um, no, just yeah, thanks for having me on your platform, and
Hmm.
yeah, thanks for doing this work for our community. Get everyone on board.
Yeah,
IT is the way to go.
that's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I really want to make sure that reach out to our guru here. He is very experienced, and he's an oldie but a goodie. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right. See
Bye.
ya.
See ya.
Bye.